thank you for coming. Thank you on behalf of the AST, the Arsenal Supporters Trust. It is our 20th year. And thank you for our members that have been with us from the start, those that have joined more recently. And this is being recorded as well, so welcome to our overseas members who'll be watching this on a recording in the next few days. So welcome to you too. Just want to thank everyone for coming again. Thank you for Arsenal for helping us with the venue. And let's just have a really good night. I know normally we the meetings are a little bit more about governance and stuff like that. We've got a bit of that, but we've also just got a little bit of fun today. So I want to introduce our host for the evening. It's not me, thank God. It's someone a little bit more professional and who knows what they're doing. You hear him every morning on Capital Radio. He is Martin Kemp's son. Jack Whitehall told me about that joke. It's Roman Kemp. Welcome. Give him a round of applause.
Hello. So my name's Roman Kemp. For those people that don't care who I am, basically Akil didn't have enough money to book my dad. So I turn up for like 20% of the price, which is quite good. If you're old enough to know who my dad is, you would have heard the song throughout the stadium last year. So, I mean, that's been absolutely wicked. Honestly, he nearly weed himself the first time he saw it. He missed the whole game just going, watch the video back. For the younger members, you might not know, mate, who my old man is. He's the old bloke at the end of the Awake advert. The grey one, right? He's the one who says, well, what does he say? He goes, what should we play next? What he doesn't say is that Zinchenko turned around and said, Duran. Look, Akil, thank you so much for having me here. AST is obviously something that you can't support Arsenal without seeing it, without knowing about what it is. And 20 years going strong is quite impressive, isn't it? As he said as well, great night ahead. We've got some really, really nice conversations just to get you nice and, I was going to use the word lubricated for the season, but I guess tonight, potentially, why not lubricate yourself? Love it. So up first, Akil's going to come back up here. We've got Glyn Taylor and Nigel Phillips, founding members of the AST. Where are you guys?
You want to sit, or? There's me saying I'm not hosting and I'm first up, isn't it? That's just so me. So we've got Nigel and Glyn, who are founding members. Obviously, I'm not old enough to be a founding member, obviously. They're a little bit older than me. But Glyn, if I come to you first. AST, how did it start and why did it start?
Okay. Well, we started 20 years ago. February 2003, I should say, on a shoestring. I remember signing the Constitution with the three of us that signed it. Is myself, Steve Powell, who's here, Ernie Reyes, who's here as well, and we were formed to give shareholders a voice. Give fans a voice. Simply that.
And Nigel, you obviously joined early days as well. How was it for you?
It was a very important time. The club in those, it was a great footballing period. We were just coming into the invincible season, but we had a disparate shareholding. We had four major shareholders, and the fifth shareholder was about 600 or 700 people. We wanted to get together as the fifth voice in the boardroom. So it did start about governance, and it's grown into something where we've now got 3,000 members. We don't own shares anymore, which is a great sadness to us, but the trust has done some remarkable things, which I'm sure we will reflect on tonight. And with some remarkable people, and I know it's not, just a very quick name check for those people who've done heavy lifting over the last 20 years. Everyone's been invited. It's great to see so many of the volunteers. It is a volunteer organisation. So in very quick, 21 board members over those years. Mark Brindle, thank you, Mark. David Carthy, Stephen Cooper is here. James Corbett, Mary Derain, Jeffrey Freeman, just out of hospital. Simon Hill, who's in France at the moment. Richard Irvin, haven't seen Richard, used to live down the road. Tommy King, absolutely here. Tommy, well done. Thank you for everything you've done and do. Neil Page, Steve Power, Ernie Reyes, Emma Shepherd, and Leslie Williams. And then the current board, Tim Payton, Glyn Taylor, Chloe Tron, Akil Zach, Phil Wall and myself. So a pat to all those people. Thank you.
And Glenn, obviously one of the biggest things that AST did was Fanshare. What was Fanshare all about?
Yeah, Fanshare was really what we were about in the early days, and I still believe passionately in today, because it's my view that fans should have a say in their football club. It's my view that fans should own shares in a football club. And it's certainly my view that fans should have representation at a football club at various levels. So Fanshare was formed to allow Arsenal supporters to buy shares in the club, which were then 12 or 14,000 pounds, I think, when we started. So we had this Fanshare scheme, and again, big mention to Steve Powell, because Steve Powell's original model was what we used to develop Fanshare. Fanshare was then, with the support of the current CEO at Arsenal, then Ivan Gazidis, and Danny Fisman, the owner, or the largest owner at that point, and it allowed people to own shares. So it was professionally run. We had 2,000 people owning between them more than £2 million worth of shares in Arsenal. And it gave us a voice, and it gave us representation at general meetings.
And obviously that did end, Nigel, but in more recent times, 20's plenty, ticketing, there's been lots that the AST have been involved with.
A huge number of initiatives, and the support and the feedback we get from members helps form those views. It's not just a collection of a few individuals. So when you get the survey and the newsletter, please do respond to those. Those really do help us represent the views of this group and a wider group to the executive. So whilst we're no longer a shareholder body, as Akhil said, there are plenty of supporter initiatives, and the dialogue and relationship with the executive of the club is excellent. We wouldn't be here otherwise, and some of the work that people like Tim Payton and Akhil deal with the ticketing team and the events, etc. Sometimes we've often been a critical friend of the club, but absolutely a friend, because we've all got the same thing at heart. So members' opinions and views are important. We are representing our members on all the occasions. So please continue to fill in those surveys.
And just staying with you, what sort of next? I mean, sort of haven't covered the Super League. I know we covered that last time round, but we had obviously the Super League and all the work that went around that. But what's next for the AST?
To have a trophy on the other side of the dais, and that would be the Premier League trophy. It's coming home. It's been a long time. 2004 is a long time. So is that what you wanted, or was it something about the trust?
A bit about the trust, and obviously there's some things going on at number 10 as well.
Well, the independent regulator, no one could have been missed the Super League debacle from April 2021, which was a watershed moment, not just for Arsenal and the Big Six, but the whole of football. So we've vehemently supported the establishment of an independent regulator, which has been approved by Parliament. There's still a lot of work to be done under that. Some people don't like regulation. It's a free market world out there. But football clubs are too important to be owned by individuals, too important to be messed around with. So we think this, not just for Arsenal, but for the whole of the football pyramid, down to the non-league, is important. Sporting meritocracy is absolutely important. And if we fail through that, then so be it. That will be done on the pitch, and sometimes off the pitch, with things which go wrong in terms of ownership and dodgy characters at different levels. So absolutely, we're backing that as strongly as we can.
And Glenn, as my elder, final word to our members here tonight and those watching online?
Well, obviously, thanks ever so much for your support for joining the AST. Please mention us to all your friends and families so we can grow the AST. And remember that football owners are custodians. Football belongs to the fans. So with your support, we can do our best to make it stay that way.
And Nigel, final word?
Final word is, we're here. Akhil pitched the AST 20 evening to the trust board at the end of March. He is an organiser by nature. So at the end of March, he came up with a plan which we sort of backed, and it's a financial plan, it's all this type of stuff. He formed an organising committee of one. That was Akhil. And he's ploughed on for 4.5 months to get us to where we are tonight. There's been twists and turns in it, but I hope you agree it will be a tremendous evening. He's done a great job. Akhil, thank you for everything you've done. and organise the AST 25 as well if we're all still here.
Yeah, I'm not sure my wife and a little one will allow me, but let's see. Right, back to Roman and let's have some fun.
Tonight, obviously, as the guys were saying, is really important, AST 20, and we thought that we would give you someone to, I don't know, just really listen to, and we thought, could you get as many players as possible? Did you want current managers here as well? And so you'll be happy to know that tonight you will get to hear from current managers, past managers, current players, ex-pros, but what I didn't tell you is that that's all going to come from one bloke. Because he is absolutely wicked at doing voices. Like, unbelievable. Right, really, really good. He's the voice of many people in football. As Akil said, we promised the big names, okay? So please welcome Darren Farley.
Thanks, mate. Hello. How are we, guys? We okay? Arsenal, happy days, eh? Not too bad, not too bad. To be honest with you, I have actually, obviously, first of all, I want to say a big thank you for, inviting me to Arsenal Football Club. Brilliant stadium, amazing. I've actually just been invited, I've actually just been booked to do Tottenham Hotspur's end of season party. It's tomorrow. I'm not wrong, am I? I'm not wrong. Well, listen, I am here to bring some big names from the world of football, and we are going to start with a man, probably not popular, but this man, massive news at the moment with this man. Will he stay, will he go? Mr. Harry Kane is with me now. Harry Kane. And Harry, what's going on? Bayern Munich have came in for you. Will this move happen? Or do you want to leave Tottenham Hotspur, Harry? Harry, we'll just ask that question again. Do you want to leave Tottenham Hotspur, Harry?
Yeah, obviously. It's obviously at the minute I'm trying my very best to leave Tottenham Hotspur. And I've tried. I've had enough. I've said that's it. I'm done. I'm finished at Tottenham Hotspur. And this morning I went into Daniel Levy's office and I asked him for a transfer request. He asked me to put it into writing. So that was the end of that.
And Harry, I've got to say as well, look, why hasn't this move happened? A lot of people would have thought that you would have signed for Bayern Munich. Why do you think that this deal has fell through, Harry?
Yeah, I think that obviously I went for a medical. And I failed the medical. And they said I've got a back problem. And I said, well, that's what happens when you carry a football team for 50 fucking seasons, mate. Right, so. And the other problem I had was they said that they were worried about they were concerned about the language barrier in the dressing room with the Bayern Munich players, and because they speak a different language, they speak English.
Well, Harry as well. Did you make any demands, Harry? Did you make any demands to get the move to Bayern Munich?
Yeah, I said to them I want big money. I said to them straight away. They offered me 500 grand a week. I said, double that and give me 250 straight away. And then I said to them, I want to pick my own squad number. I want to pick my own squad number 10, the stick in the circle. Yeah, pick that one. So, yeah.
But we'll move away slightly now, Harry, before we move on to our next manager and next player or manager. Look, England, what do you think? Obviously, you've got a big tournament coming up. Do you think England can win the next big tournament? I think it's the Euros that are next up. Can England win the Euros next year, Harry?
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite difficult. It's going to be very tough. We've got to avoid the South American teams. Yeah, we have to, like Germany or Spain, because obviously they won't get results.
Thank you very much. Harry Kane, thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. We're going to move on. And from the current captain of England to a former captain of England, now coaching and managing in America, Mr. Wayne Rooney is with us now. Mr. Wayne Rooney is with us. And Wayne, look, you made a big move now coaching in America. Are you finding life okay there, Wayne? Are you adapting to life managing in America, Wayne? Yeah, I think, of course, it's, because I think that, obviously, when you get great, when the chance, what is it? Come on, Wayne, you've been practicing, come on. Sorry, yeah, obviously it was very difficult when I first went to America and when I was flying over on the train, and it was really difficult. It was really difficult. Obviously, when I first got to America, the language barrier was really tough for me, understanding the American language. But of course, gradually I have got used to, no, sorry, I forgot. Okay, Wayne, as well, also you were linked with a massive, going back to manage one of your former clubs, Everton. Why didn't that one work out, Wayne? Why didn't you end up going back to manage Everton? Well, negotiations were really tough. It was very difficult. Of course, Everton, they offered me 12 months, a 12-month contract, and I said, no, I want more than that. I want a year. But that didn't work out. And just one more question before we move on, Wayne. Who's the toughest manager? Who's the toughest manager you've ever worked for? I'd have to say Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson was he was quite mean. He was quite mean. And one day in training, I said, Gaffer, I've got a stone in my boot. He said, you've got 35 stone in the other boot, Fataz. Thank you very much. Wayne Rooney. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to move on. I want to speak to a former manager of Arsenal now. A man now with Aston Villa, Mr. Unai Emery is with me now. And Unai, only a year here. It was always going to be difficult filling in Arsene Wenger's boots. It was difficult. I mean, if you could sum up your time, Unai, as Arsenal manager, how would you sum it up?
Best of all, good evening. First, we knew the tactics. Tactics are for us to play. I know, but okay. Best of all, tactics for us, for Old Trafford, first minute. Best of all, good evening.
Thank you very much, Unai Emery. Thank you. I thought he said it well. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're going to move on. And we're going to speak to the manager of Everton now, Mr. Sean Dyche is with us, Mr. Sean Dyche. And Sean, big job at Everton. I mean, obviously not a great job to walk into. I mean, where do you think Everton need to improve, Sean?
I think the way we are and the way we play the game, we've just got to go out and play really good. The boys are working hard and doing what they can. And I said before, the boys just got to be physical, got to be hard. And, of course, when I went into Everton, the players, what they were eating? They were eating chicken, salad, avocados. I changed all that. I want you to be real men. So now the boys are eating bricks, nails, wood. That's the way I am, a real man. But for me personally, the boys are only struggling in one particular area, the pitch. Apart from that, I think we're doing really well.
Thank you very much, Sean Dyche. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're going to speak to, a man who has jumped onto the Saudi gravy train. Mr. Steven Gerrard is with us now. And Steven, look, you made a big decision to go to Saudi Arabia. I mean, why have you decided to go to Saudi Arabia in such a poor league compared to the Premier League? Why have you decided to go there, Steven? course. Look, for me personally, it was the first thing that attracted me to the multi-billionaire, rich, pots of gold, Saudi Arabian club, Al Ettifaqi, was the fact that I did support them when I was a young boy growing up. They're an incredible team. I've been following them, ever since they were formed last week, and I'm very proud to be there. I really am. It's a great club. It's an incredible club. And I did grow up in a little village just outside Saudi Arabia called Liverpool, but I'm very proud to be there. And Steve, I've got to ask you as well. I mean, obviously Jordan Henderson's gone there. A lot of players have gone there. How are you finding the standard with some of the other players, Stephen? It's a big drop of standard, isn't it? Yeah, of course. It's really tough. Some of the boys are not very good. One particular guy looks like he's never kicked a ball in his life. Can't understand the word he says. It's an embarrassment, really. I'm just disappointed to pay Liverpool 12 million for him. But, yeah, of course. Thank you very much. Stephen Gerrard, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're going to speak to the manager of Crystal Palace now, Mr. Roy Hodgson is with us. And Roy, back in football at the age of 113. I mean, look, Roy, listen, can Crystal Palace win a trophy this season? Could Crystal Palace actually win a trophy, Roy?
Well, of course, I'm very confident. Got some very good players that we want to work with. We've got some very, very good attacking players, but I think we can win a trophy. I do think we can win the FA Cup if we try our very best. Of course we can, but in fact, I'm very confident we can win a trophy. And in fact, this afternoon, I went past a betting shop, and in the betting shop window, it said that Crystal Palace are 50-1. To win the FA Cup, 50-1. Now, for anybody that doesn't understand betting, that means if you put £10 on, you will lose £10.
Thank you very much, Roy Hodgson. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're going to catch a quick word now with Mr. Steve Bruce, a man currently out of work. I mean, look, Steve, not working at the moment, not sure if you will be back in football, but I suppose the question's got to be, the Newcastle job seemed a very difficult job. Was that the toughest job that you've had in football, Steve?
Well, I think it was a very difficult job. Of course it was very difficult. And, it was difficult. The supporters, they never really give me, a lot of support, of course, but I've got to be honest with you, the toughest job I've ever had was Hull. Hull City. I remember when they rang me, I was in my car, and they said, "Do you want to come and manage Hull City?" And I put my sat-nav on in the car, and I'm not very good with the digit things, and I accidentally typed hell into my sat-nav. And guess where it took me? Tottenham fucking Hotspur, that's where. Thank you very much, Steve Bruce. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. We're going to move on, and we're going to speak to Mr. Brendan Rodgers now working for Celtic, Mr. Brendan Rodgers. And Brendan, I've got to ask you, obviously now working in the Scottish Premier League, you've got a habit of walking out on clubs. Will you walk out on Celtic again, Brendan? Well, I'm very proud to be here, very proud. I think in terms of, I said before, I'm very proud to be at Celtic. It's a wonderful club full of beautiful human beings. And I'm a one-club man. I said that at all 23 clubs I've been at, So I'm very proud to be there. And just another quick one as well, Brendan. Obviously, the biggest club you've managed was Liverpool. What did you take away from your experience as a Liverpool manager? I know you failed miserably, Brendan, but what did you take away from your time as a Liverpool manager, Brendan? I was very proud to be there. We had some wonderful players. We had some beautiful human beings, and we had a wonderful player called Louis
Suarez, who had a wonderful appetite, you know, for human flesh. But no, it's wonderful hunger. But no, as I said before, from Liverpool, I took away 3 things from Liverpool. Loads of money, new teeth, and a new bird. Yeah, no, so it really worked out well. Thank you very much. Brendan Rodgers, thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Going to catch a quick word now with Mr. Frank Lampard. Mr. Frank Lampard is with me now. And Frank, obviously, out of work, 15 jobs last season. But, I mean, how would you sum up your time at Chelsea when you went back to Chelsea? How did you feel that one went, Frank? I think I think I'd say it was quite a difficult game. It was all right, but yeah, no, seriously, it was absolutely shy, wasn't it, the season? But I thought it went well in certain parts of the game. Everything came to Chelsea was all over the place, but fucking terrible. Yeah, absolutely terrible. Thank you very much, Frank Lampard. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I've got to catch a word now with Mikel Arteta, the manager of Arsenal. I'll try. This is a newbie, by the way. Don't judge me. Mikel Arteta is with us. Mikel, wow. Unbelievable. 175th minute equaliser against Man City. Get in. Oh, get in. Pep. And Mikel, I've got to ask you, I mean, how would you sum up the performance? Was you happy with your Arsenal players, Mikel?
Well, I think that the players, they play really well. I have to say that the players, they play well, but the team, they play really well. We tried to use the ball the right way, but again, it was okay. I have to say that for me, it was fantastic, great to watch and great on the eye. But that's enough about me because I'm so handsome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to speak to Rio Ferdinand now. Manchester United defender, is with us now, Rio Ferdinand. And Rio, can you just sum up? I mean, you must have watched the game, Arsenal v Man City in the Community Shield. I mean, can we just have a quick analysis, please, Rio, on how you think the game went?
Yeah, I think that's what I said about. I think that the players, and that's it, man. He's just gone through, innit, brother? And that's it. What I said about his other season, man. How many had injury time, brother? And that's it. What I said about. Yeah, that's it. And then Pep and then Mika. What I said about. That's what I said about. I can't be much more clear than that, man.
Rio Ferdinand. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We're going to speak to Rafa Benitez now. Mr. Rafa Benitez is with us now. And Rafa, I've got to ask you, you've managed a lot of clubs, managed some unbelievable players. Who's the best player that you've managed, Rafa?
Yeah, I have to say that sometimes when you play with the squad, and you have sometimes the players that work so hard for the club, this will be good, but of course we had work with Steve Gerrard, Carra, Ronaldo. Was a lot of the good players that worked so hard. But I have to say that my favorite player for the club, the best player that I ever worked with was a player named Javier Mascherano. He was my favorite player, and the reason that Mascherano was my favorite player is he was so hard. He was so he was so physical and he was so tough. And at one time we had played at Chelsea at the Anfield. And at halftime, Mascherano, he was so tough, he came into the dressing room with a big gashed leg. We still don't know whose leg that was. Rafa Benitez, thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Just a few more people to speak to. We're going to speak to Mr. Harry Redknapp first. Mr. Harry Redknapp is with us. And Harry, look, have you had any offers to come back into football? Has anyone been in touch, Harry, about a potential managerial job? Listen, there's been some terrific offers, some of the people that came in, they did. I spoke to Portsmouth, Portsmouth came in, they were a terrific club, absolutely fantastic. They were a fantastic club, and they came in and they offered me 200 grand, 200 grand after tax, 45 million quid, yeah, but
Thank you very much. Harry Redknapp. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And finally, I'll finish off. We've got some obviously brilliant speakers tonight, guys. Last one, we're going to speak to Mr. Jamie Carragher now. Sky Sports pundit is with us. And Jamie, can we just have an analysis of the Premier League season, last season, just as, or in fact, a preview of this season, just in a few words, please, Jamie, as clear as you can, please, Jamie.
You Man United all the place, Arsenal last set. I scored in Chelsea, no Man City, Ireland. What? I was seeing Gary Neville. Ooh, I've seen you but you moved it. I've seen you can see that, but oh no, it's only see, but you know, I can't say much more than that.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks very much. Thanks so much, such a brilliant crowd. Thank you so much, guys. Obviously, it's been a pleasure to be invited here tonight. You've been a great crowd. And I'm not just saying it, but, and I said this a few years ago about Mikel Arteta and about Arsenal, going places, absolutely brilliant last season. Now, obviously, as a Liverpool fan, of course, I was devastated when Man City caught you up. But I tell you what, this season with Declan Rice as well, I'm no crazy football expert, but I think Arsenal's got a bright future. So best of luck, guys. Yeah, thank you.
Let's hear it one more time. Darren Farley. Loved that. Really, really did like the Mikel Arteta impression as well. If you can just get the word fogging in there next time. It's got to be in there. Now, look, guys, I want to invite someone very important to the stage right now. Someone who, I mean, it doesn't really need an introduction. It's the chief exec of Arsenal. I mean, what else can I say? Please welcome to the stage Vinai Venkatesham.
Almost got the pronunciation of my surname right. It was really close. No, I'll give you some advice. Venkatesham. Close. Listen, I'm not going to do any impressions, I'm afraid, but I just thought I would just say a few words. Firstly, I just wanted to welcome you all here today. It's great to see you all here, just a couple of days after winning this fantastic Community Shield in a really important and big performance against Manchester City, which I think will give us a lot of confidence for the season ahead. And also, just a few days before we start the Premier League campaign back here at Emirates Stadium next Saturday against Nottingham Forest. We've had a busy summer. Edu, Mikel and their teams have been really busy strengthening the squad. And we were really pleased to get those three key signings of Urian, Kai and Declan done before our pre-season tour. And they had a great time. And it was really important to get those signings done early. We wanted to give the boys plenty of time to adapt to Arsenal, plenty of time to adapt to Mikel's style of play. So to have them on the plane with us on the way to the US was really important. And they integrated with the squad brilliantly, and we had a really successful tour out there in the US. And we're really looking forward to the season ahead. We know that expectations are higher than they've been in recent seasons for our season ahead. But we like that and we want that. We're Arsenal Football Club and we should be used to high expectations. And we're absolutely ready for the fight this season. It's going to be a tough campaign, but we're ready and we can't wait to get going on Saturday. But the real message I wanted to give you all today was a message of thanks. Thanks for your incredible support, in particular over the last season. Whether it's been our men's team or our women's team, whether it's been at Emirates Stadium, Boreham Woods, away games in the UK or away games in Europe. Whether it's been early kickoff, late kickoffs, pouring down with rain or sunny, whether we've been winning, drawing, or losing, whatever the circumstances, we could hear our support loud and proud. It makes such a difference to the boys on the pitch, and I just wanted you to all know, I know it's obvious, but it's hugely appreciated by everyone at the club, by our owners, by our board, by our players, and by our staff. So I just want to say a huge, huge thank you. It was your support last season that helped us make that big step of progress, and we know we'll have your support just as loud, if not louder, this season. We really can't wait to get going, and here's to a great season. Thanks all, and have a good night.
Thanks so much, Vinai. I mean, the support has been absolutely phenomenal. Does anyone want an update? Spurs are losing against Barcelona. Hey, Lewandowski, come on. Yeah, so they're losing. And it's now time, actually, to introduce you to a man who really, really hates Tottenham. Sorry, loves Arsenal. And is someone that is just an absolute legend. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Nigel Winterburn. I thought we could sit for this bit.
I am getting older, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Nigel, firstly, thank you so much for being here today. Let's start, unfortunately, with last season. I mean, I say unfortunately for you, as you know, as an ex-player and as a fan of the club. You know, how was it watching us go through that journey?
Well, first of all, I've got to say it was an amazing season. I think the expectation from the start of last season to where we got from the World Cup break and then going through the World Cup break, so deep into the season, top of the league, and it started to rise and rise. And just unfortunately, at the end, people have said to me, what do you think the reason was? And I think it wasn't just one reason. I think there was maybe 2 or 3 factors that just enabled, right at the end, Manchester City to come back and pip us to the title. But I have to say, since I've been coming to this stadium, 2006, it's the atmosphere inside this stadium was absolutely electric. It is the first time...
Yeah.
It's the first time since I've been in this stadium that I make sure every home game, 5 minutes before kickoff, I'm out in the stand. And that is due to all you guys and ladies here. Absolutely amazing. And on top of that, I think we're getting a team to be proud of.
I really do. I can only echo what you said there. I think looking at last season, you're a player that's, you've been in that dressing room. You know what, title races are like. You understand, that final run-in. How important is it? You hear so many people say, Man City, they knew how to win the title. They knew that towards the end of the season, they're going to be coming up against, players that are fighting for contracts, fighting relegation. What will the lads take into this season from those last few games, do you think? How much of a difference does it make being experienced in a title race?
Well, hopefully they put themselves there again next season. And for me, what I would do is take in the disappointment of what happened. And I think particularly the 2 games that I always look back to, West Ham and Southampton. For me, that's where the initiative went to Manchester City. You suck that in, you draw on it. When you have those difficult games come the end of the season, you then can turn those games into a victory. And hopefully then, with your teammates, that will take you on to a league title.
Did you have to have someone during your playing career, did you have someone that everyone looked to for a reminder of those moments of like, look lads, look, do you remember here, let's change that?
No, I don't think so, because I think we were a new squad, and this is why I'm a little bit excited with what Mikel Arteta is trying to do. I see very, very similarities to George Graham. In fact, when George came in, he got rid of a lot of the senior players. He brought in players that maybe some of the supporters were looking at and thinking, who's he bringing in? Me being one of them, coming in from Wimbledon, Lee Dixon, Steve Bold. But what George did is tactically, he knew a style that he wanted to play, didn't feel that maybe some of the senior players would play that way, and moulded the team to what he wanted. I think with Mikel Arteta, I said it was a massive job when he came to this football club. I felt there were too many players that were on big contracts. They were comfortable. They needed to be pushed more. And if they weren't pushed and weren't willing to do that, then they needed to be moved on. And then different players brought in. And I think we're seeing that now with Mikel Arteta. And then what we've got this season is the likes, of Declan Rice, Timber coming in, and Havertz. And we're just hoping that those guys can then just take us to that next level again.
Of course, and let's you touched on it there. Let's talk about the transfer business. How important do you think it is? I mean, as someone that's kind of seen Arsenal through the years, do you think it's important to get business done early? As a player, do you want a full pre-season with your club?
Oh, absolutely, because and particularly if you're just looking at Declan Rice, £100 million. And now everybody's judging Declan Rice on £100 million. They're not judging what he did at West Ham. So you want him into the club very, very quickly. He's got to integrate with new players. He's got to integrate with different training. He's got to integrate with a different style of play. So you want as much time as possible before you go into the first game of the season. And I always say it every single season when we talk about players coming to Arsenal Football Club, what do you think of this guy? I'm not interested what he did at his previous club. I'm only interested what he does for my club, and that will be the important fact.
Yeah, 100%. And we saw players, it seems like this is a team that players want to play for. He's turning down the likes of Man City. You've got people moving across, like, obviously Havertz coming from Chelsea to Arsenal. Is there that real sense, do you think, like, that players maybe now are looking at everyone else going, no, I want to be here? And what do you think it is about here that they want to be a part of?
Well, first, it's the club. It's an unbelievable football club. When I walked in through the door and I came on my own to meet George Graham, and when you walk into, I know it's a different stadium, but those marble halls, I knew I was signing within 10 seconds. And then when you play for this club, it stays with you forever. You don't get away because it's got a welcoming. It's a fantastic football club to play for. It's got a history as well. Hence why, since I've retired, I've been coming back here and working here since this stadium was opened in 2006.
And I guess, being a part of something so special, obviously it means so much to you, but obviously since you retired and looking back on your playing days, we were looking through pre-season, obviously it's come to an end now, we start the season on Saturday. How much does the modern day pre-season differ from the pre-season that you lads must have had?
Well, there's certainly less drinking.
Yeah.
No, but if you think about the pre-season that we would have, even George Graham, even Arsene Wenger when he came in, Boreham Wood, Barnet would be your first couple of games. Then you'd probably play a third division team. Then you might play, a couple of other games, championship team. And if you were in the Community Shield, that would be the first time that you would potentially play the Premier League winners, or the team that had won the FA Cup. You would never go to America. You'd never go to Hong Kong. You wouldn't really be playing Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester United. You wouldn't be playing these teams and putting, I don't know it's pressure, but like high-level games so quickly into your pre-season workout. So it's a completely different game now to simply when we were in pre-season what we were doing.
Yeah, and I heard recently, I heard a couple of ex-pros talking about it and saying about, pre-season matches being something that, they don't even remember who they played in pre-season. And the results didn't necessarily matter to them. They're looking inward at their own performance. How would you say, even in those games you're saying you're playing League Two sides, Championship sides, are you thinking, we need to get a win here, or is it a personal thing for a player?
I think you need to build fitness. You want to try and also build confidence as well. But I was at Wembley, at the weekend, and I was going around the lounges talking to a lot of supporters, and they were asking me about the Community Shield. And I know it's a little bit of devil's advocate, and it was like, would you take Community Shield today or 3 points next Saturday? Well, absolutely. I take 3 points next Saturday, because I think the importance of winning your first game is going to be so significant for Arsenal this season, because the expectation has risen. So we've got the Community Shield, and I know a lot of people are happy with that, because that is now a major trophy, isn't it?
It is indeed. It is indeed.
And then obviously, hopefully, we can start with a win at home and 3 points. So if you're asking me about, do I remember any pre-season games I played in? No, I don't.
Hey, well, look, speaking about trophies as well, there's a statue of a man outside holding the Premier League trophy. Arsene Wenger, we have to talk about him, right? I mean, that statue that is there. I mean, what does Arsene represent for you in terms of Arsenal Football Club?
An amazing manager. First of all, a gentleman. Never ever raised his voice at a player. Respected everybody. I think not only the players, but everybody that worked at the club. I think he would have known everybody's name. And for me, significantly, it was disappointing that he wouldn't come back to the stadium. He's now rightly come back. But the players in his first period that he brought to this football club, boy, oh boy, those names just roll off the tongue. It was an honour to play with some of those guys, but even when I retired and said to you and come back and watch them, it was an incredible team to be watching as well. I mean, I am so pleased that he's now been given the credit that he deserves in terms of the statue and the welcome back to the football club. I know towards the end there was a lot of debate, but I think, particularly in his early part, the things that he brought to this football club, he was so far ahead of every other manager in terms of his diet, the way that you trained. He was just a sensational manager.
How do you think a person like Arsenal, because a person like Arsene, who I think does kind of represent the club's values so well, how do you think a manager like that is able to walk into a dressing room, as you say, not raise a voice, but gain the respect of all the players that are there? Some players that preceded him at the club.
Yeah, I think for me, and I've always said it, people talk about the culture at the football club before he came. What he stopped, the dietary requirements that I've talked to you about but for me it was just his training methods. I trained with Arsene Wenger twice, and it was just like, this is just something you want to be part of. But he was a very, very clever manager. He knew that if the team weren't doing very well at half time, he wouldn't walk into the dressing room. He'd stay outside. He'd let the players argue, maybe having a bit of handbags, pushing and shoving with each other. But very, very quickly, you knew, a couple of minutes, Arsene Wenger would walk in, all the players sat down and were quiet. And then tactically, he would talk to you individually and collectively as a team, as how he wanted you to improve on that second half performance, to not only come back maybe and get a draw, but also he always talked about winning the game. And I think, with the way that he conducted himself, he got the respect of the players. But I think the biggest thing for me was, when you first went out to training, we used to train at 10:30. He was out there at 10:15, and if anybody was late, he just used to turn around and say, why are you disrespecting the rest of the players? It was not about him, it was about the team.
Wow, big stuff. And look, we need to talk about, obviously, your time, obviously, as a left-back, but there's quite a few now that we've got going on at Arsenal, right? The left-back situation at Arsenal right now is, it's an abundance of it. We've got Tierney there, obviously. We've got Zinni, who can play there, and now we saw Timber playing in that left back role. What are you making of? I mean, the buzzword last year was inverted. Could you have seen yourself as an invert?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the fullback role from when I joined this football club has completely changed. I think a similar fullback to out of all the players that we've got here, who plays a similar role to what I would play, which would be a defensive role. How good are you defensively, and then what can you give going forward would probably be Tierney. But if you want someone when you've got a lot of possession of the football, then you play Zinchenko, because that guy's touch, vision in the centre of mid. I never even knew where the centre of midfield was. It was an area I just looked at.
Yeah.
He goes into that midfield area, and it was almost at times that occasionally you'd see, if it broke down, you'd have Xhaka in behind him, or one of the centre halves was moving out into that area. So I think for Zinchenko, he controlled that play from that central area. It's absolutely incredible. And obviously with Timber, he's just come to the football club, but boy oh boy, he looks full of energy. He looks quite aggressive as well. Very, very accomplished on the ball. And probably could play centre forward as well.
Probably could, yeah, exactly. I feel like the players that we have brought in are pretty versatile as it is. Now, Nigel, your involvement with the club, obviously you say that since you retired, you've been here since this stadium opened, and constantly working alongside the club. What made you want to make sure that this is your home forever, and what exactly is it that you're doing right now? Obviously, we see you on the stadium tours, also we see you're part of Arsenal Player as well.
Well, as I said to you earlier, when you have been at a football club that takes you in and you give as much as you can back, and I've always said, I can't always give you quality, but I can give you 100%.
Love it. Love it.
And I go back to, and it's different now. I go back to Highbury, when we had our end of season parties, and you've got players and every single staff member together, didn't matter where they worked at the football club, they were there. We had some sensational times together. This club draws you in, and it gives you energy and it gives you belief. I've been coming back here waiting for a Premier League title, and I'm going to keep coming back. Yeah, I do co-commentary for the first team and the under-21s. You've said it, I did some tours, corporate hospitality. If you want me to mow the pitch, I'll mow the pitch.
I love it. Obviously, so many of the fans appreciate it, but also, do you think there's a real importance of more ex-pros being able to attach themselves to the club?
Well, we've obviously got a lot that come back, and not full-time, but obviously I'm not full-time, I'm self-employed, but when I say, they come back to the club on a regular basis, I think, as I said to you before, it doesn't need me to tell all you supporters here today that there is a love affair with Arsenal, that even if you want to get away from, you can't. And you listen to all the players. I remember when Thierry Henry first joined, and he said very, very quickly, I soon realised what Arsenal Football Club meant to the English players, and I knew I had to fit in. And those guys want to come back. They want this team now, because we're talking about this moment in time. My time's gone. We've got those memories. They'll be there forever. But now is what we want from this team. We want, if we can, for them to deliver a Premier League title for us. And that's why the ex-players keep coming back.
I love it. Nigel Winterburn, everyone. Thank you so much, Simon. Right, I think we can crack on if you want. Akil, if you want.
Yeah, I think so. I thought it's only fair, Roman, if we learn a little bit about you as well. I mean, I joked to say Martin Kemp's son, but you are your own person, funny enough.
Yeah.
You deserve about a minute.
I'm Shirley Kemp's son as well. The lady from Wham. Yeah.
So Roman, I mean, in all seriousness, when we looked at people to host it, You were first choice.
Third. Yeah, I was going to say, there's Dermot. He's really expensive.
He was busy tonight.
Yeah, who else?
Morning.
Matt Lucas. He was like out in the America tour, so he wasn't around.
He didn't reply.
Yeah, exactly. So you stuck with me. Thank you.
But in all seriousness, I'm sure everyone is loving seeing you host. But
didn't need to do that. Thank you.
There you go. But what was it about Arsenal that first got you kind of hooked? Because you are hooked, like all of us.
I still remember the first time that, I was having this conversation just a second ago. My dad, weirdly, the first game my dad ever took me to was Coventry away.
Glamorous.
Sorry to any Cov fans, if there are, I don't think there are, but not the way to get your kid interested in football. Like, as good as Darren Huckabee was, like, it weren't the vibe. And yeah, so that was my first game into kind of watching Arsenal. But I still remember that day when he said to me, okay, we're going to go to Highbury tonight. This is what we're going to do, And my dad grew up in Rotherfield Street in Angel and in Highbury. And so Arsenal was just in our blood. We've got the most boring family tree ever. It just goes Islington, 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 Islington. And that first day that he took me there, it was just seeing the pitch for the first time. And I'm sure it's the same thing that everyone will say. And anyone that has children or wants to have children, I promise you that moment where, you can say to a kid or a young person, look, let's go and watch the football. I promise you the grass is greener than you'll ever think. And also, there is a reason why we call it the carpet. Do you know what I mean? It's top dollar. Like, we are just the best. So I think, in fact, weirdly enough, around that time, it was like 98. Apologies, I am 30. I was 5, and I loved watching the World Cup, and that was the first World Cup I remember. And I said to my dad after that World Cup, I was like, I want a Michael Owen shirt. And he goes, absolutely not. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you don't support Liverpool, you support Arsenal, that's it, end of. And then that next season, he took me to the double winners parade, and put me on his shoulder, and he said, that's your team, we're winners, that's what we do. And so, yeah, ever since.
Wise man.
Yeah.
And what's your favourite memory? I mean, that was a great memory, but you were 5.
Yes.
Said, what's been your favourite memory?
Favourite memory? I still think it was the most fun I've had, I think, at an Arsenal game. Weirdly, last season, I brought my dad last year to Arsenal Man United. And, it was the first time he had heard the song being chanted in the stands and stuff like that. So that was a really great one. But I'll never forget, the best game I've ever seen was, I don't know how many people were there or remember this one. We played Middlesbrough, and we ended up winning 5-3, right? But do you remember that, at Highbury? And I remember my dad taking me, and I had the brand new shirt, and I think it was our first home game back after the Invincible season. And then Job, do you remember him for Middlesbrough? He's lofted it over the goalkeeper, and it just was going terribly. And in the second half, we came back so great, and it was so, it's just mustard football that I remember, I think it was either Pires or Reyes, Henry scored that one, but the Pires and Reyes that scored so close to each other that they didn't have time to put the next person up on the scoreboard. And then I was like, we are sick.
I think even the TV struggled to keep up.
Yeah.
They were showing the replay, and suddenly Reyes was turning and shooting.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So that was still one of my favourite memories.
Well, that's great. Now, for the important thing, Roman, are you coming on Saturday?
Yes, I am indeed coming on Saturday.
Now, this bit's really important. What should you do before Saturday?
Well, Akil, on Saturday, before I arrive, because there's better Wi-Fi signal and mobile coverage, I'm going to be going into the Arsenal app, and I'm going to get my new digital pass.
And Roman, does everyone have to do it?
Well, that's the brilliance of it. Everyone will have that amazing moment of downloading their digital pass. So yes, everyone.
So I'm not very clever, so I'm just going to ask again. Will last year's pass not work then?
No, silly. Of course it's not going to work. It's a new season, a new Arsenal, therefore a new digital pass.
Okay, so I have until, let's say, Friday night to download my digital pass.
Don't be that stupid. As soon as you get home, when your partner looks at you as you're lying in bed next to them with the phone too close into your face and the light really not at the good angle, you're downloading it then.
Well, I hope everyone heard that.
Yeah.
And if there's any chaos outside, we'll blame you for not listening. And you at the bar were not listening.
Yeah. For real though, I'd quite like the game to start on time. So if you see someone next to you, just tell them. Yeah.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, please do download your pass. It will make it a lot quicker on the day. And obviously we want to start the season well. Roman, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Leave it to you.
Thanks, man.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you, dude. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Right. Should we get someone that's actually played for Arsenal? Yeah, it's a bit better, isn't it? A bit better. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, this next player, I still remember the first time he came, and I was like, "Oh my God, we finally have a player with the best hair in the league." Outrageous. Today, he's arrived, unfortunately, without those hair, but somehow still looking younger than ever, which is unbelievable. Please welcome Bacary Sagna. Bacary, hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this amazing welcome.
Hey, now I don't know if Bacary remembers, but actually on Saturday you were my teammate at the game for Ukraine. Right? Probably doesn't remember. I lasted all of 5 minutes before I was absolutely blowing out my anyway. But Bacary, how was that? I want to quickly talk about it. Game for Ukraine, playing with it was like having Arsenal back, wasn't it?
It was super nice to get back on the pitch, first of all. To see a nice grass after so many years, it was nice to see the guys, to find again some intensity and to have been able to play with players I admire so much and just to play football, to do what I love the most. It was nice and have some crowds, and I'm looking forward to do it. So I get back on training and try to make it on shape and trying to stand for a team.
Yeah, 100%. And look, the Emirates Stadium is it's a special place. I'm sure it's a special place for you. When were you here last? When were you here last watching the game?
I usually come maybe twice a year, especially when we play against Man City. And I do some commentary, but it's always difficult for me because I respect both clubs. I play for both, so I have friends from both sides, and it's always an amazing game. So
we see that trophy over there. We beat Man City. That's for real though. I was going to get onto that later, but when people obviously ask you, you know, you've played for one massive side and City. Are you a gooner? Like, did you know, when you're not watching Arsenal, are you like trying to find out the score?
There is a saying: always a gunner, once a gunner, always a gunner. So
yeah. And we're going to clip that for Man City's page. So just sorry, you've contractually obliged to that. So I mean, look, last games here, and obviously, you know, you're saying you come and watch games. What was it like as a player? You know, because you really saw in that new era of playing in this new stadium. What was it like trying to build that connection with the fans and in a new stadium?
To be honest, I didn't really have time to think about it. For me, Arsenal has always been the club I was following back home when I was in France. I remember watching the games 3 p.m. On Saturdays because we were playing at 8 p.m. So I was always admirative. It's a club that every single young support in France, and when they contacted me, I was like, oof, you know, it might happen. I might be able to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world. So we went to pre-season in Austria. Everything happened so fast. I started playing during the pre-season, and suddenly you're back here in Emirates, and you know, it's such a big club, such different from what I was used to it, and you see a lot more people, you see a lot of more people working for the club, and you see also a different atmosphere. So I didn't really have time to think about it, and it was even better because, you know, it is how it should be. I didn't have time to have pressure. I remember my first game, after a few minutes, we were 1-0 down and we managed to come back, and it was a dream start. So, yes, it's a privilege to have been able to play for Arsenal and Emirates.
Yeah, 100%. Now, look, we're going to get into your playing career in a minute, but right now, I mean, what are you up to? You're living out in Dubai right now, is that right?
Tanning.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
No. I invested into a startup called Gravipack.
Right.
So basically, my partner found a new technology on backpacks, which is a load decrease of 92%. So it's patent. We have 11 international patents. We are focusing on school bags, hiking bags, anything with a loading. We managed to get a load decrease of 92%. So we are developing this. On the side, I built myself an app, football app. So basically, I'm trying to give back my whole knowledge, football knowledge. So it's split in 4 training session, individual training session, collective. So wow. I reproduce all the training session I got to do with French national team, Man City, Arsenal, and I'm trying to give it back to amateur football. I talk about mental health, wellness, injuries. I explain injuries to kids. What is a twist ankle? They need to understand, and I try to provide them rehab sessions. I talk about contract because I would like everyone that has kids to understand and try to protect the kids, because football is nice, but sometimes it can be a bit difficult for parents to understand, and you need to be protected and you need to protect your kids because it's not always nice. So, and I do analysis. So I talk about games, I reproduce actions, I try to explain what we see as a professional football players.
Yeah.
And I would like the people to understand it. So
I love it. And the best thing is, I mean, if you need an investor, I mean, you were a teammate of Mathieu Flamini. I had to. I'm sorry. What is he? Multi-billion? Anyway, he didn't need to go to Saudi Arabia, did he? Look, so that is fantastic, and obviously, you know, it means a lot to you. You were talking about their contractual situations, and you know, people, you know, getting into the game and knowing that there's another side to it outside of playing. And with that in mind, the new signings that we've got, you know, we kind of had a lot of fans had their first taste of seeing, you know, Jurrien Timber, Kai Havertz, Declan Rice playing on Sunday. I mean, what do you think those signings are going to bring to Arsenal?
I think they all fit perfectly. Talking about Timber, I think technically he's very good. He's very powerful. He's good on 1v1, and he even played on the left side, which is not his preferred position, but he did very well. He was man of the match for a reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rice has been cutting many City action. He was always at the right place at the right time, and he's a type of player that can shine. It's difficult for him because, you know, he has such a big price tag that he has to play with it. But I think he's doing well with it, and he's going to be very useful for the club. And Havertz, I was surprised to see him playing centre forward, but I would have thought he would have struggled physically, but not at all. He was very smart, and he's a kind of technical player, skillful player. He managed to get some chances. He didn't score, unfortunately, but it was a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic, and you know, as a player, something that we've seen with you know, Arsenal this summer certainly is there looks like there's going to be more depth, more competition for places. When you were at a club like, you know, you're playing for a club like Man City, where there are an influx of players coming in, or even with Arsenal, you know, there's new signings coming in. Did you find that depth actually made everyone else better? Do you think signings like Rice, you know, you look at, oh, where's Jorginho going to play? Where's Partey going to play? Do you think that will elevate and not kind of, you know, worry players? Are you looking over your shoulder, is what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, you have to. You know, it's not good always to be in a comfortable position. You need to get out of your comfort zone if you want to be performing and stay at the top, you know. After every game, you need to think about the next one. Yeah. This is probably what is the most difficult things to do in football, is to withdraw what happened, because you cannot change, good or bad, and you need to focus on the next one. That will probably happen 3 days later now with all the games. So it's a constant pressure, but we have to deal with it if you want to be playing at the top. So the players will surely like it. It's a fair competition, healthy competition, I want to be saying, and I think the club need more than 11 players that can maybe play at the top and keep the level of the team. And talking about last season, I think this is quite cost the title to Arsenal. When Saliba went injured, we could see the defense was a bit shaky. When Gabriel Jesus was a bit injured, also you couldn't really score goals.
Yeah.
It happened, but we needed to rely on Saka.
Yeah.
But we saw that when he was a bit tired, he was less effective and created less chances. So
depth
you surely need depth in the squad, and this was the strength of Man City today.
Yeah, and you know, your move into elite football, which is, you know, what I would call it in terms of playing for teams like an Arsenal, that did obviously start with Arsene Wenger, you know, and playing under a manager like that. Do you remember that first interaction that you had?
Yeah, for me, you know, my English was okay. I could understand, but coming here with everything different, it's a different country, different accent. So I was lucky enough to be surrounded by French-speaking people.
Yeah.
And Arsene, the coach, was one of him. One of them, sorry. Just natural. He's so human with us. Every time we're a bit down, or maybe if we make a mistake, he's making sure we're okay mentally, because he knows the pressure we're having, and he's trying to understand, and he's trying to communicate with us and to make us forget, because he knows we have to play well the next game. And something that shocked me for the coach is to see the proximity he have with the players. You know, sometimes we are at the training ground talking about any kind of sports, about Rafael Nadal playing in one of the tennis competition, and we will just go around, shake everyone's hand, and just sit with us and talk about tennis, you know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen. As a coach, you don't see this.
I think, you know, there's a lot of, as well, where you see statues being put out for ex-pros or, you know, ex-managers, etc. That statue that is out there now for Arsene, do you think there couldn't be a more deserving person? Do you think he has all those accolades to deserve that recognition?
Yeah, 100%. He deserves, even in the middle of the pitch, you know.
Yeah.
It's he played a big part in Arsenal Football Club, in us players, and he's still charismatic. And every time I see him, you know, he has such a positive aura that.
Do you still call him coach when he's here?
Yes, of course. It's respect.
Do you still get a little bit nervous, or is it friendly?
Yeah, it's still the same. He's so charismatic, you know. I'm a bit shy also, so.
I love it. And look, what was a pre-season like with Arsene Wenger?
Difficult.
Really? Go on, talk me through a pre-season during your seasons.
Well, we usually used to have a screening day where we have all the heart rate checked, running session checked. Everything you need to the minimum has to be checked in the first days, you know, to see where we're standing.
Yeah.
And then we go to Austria, running a lot.
Yeah.
It is a tough part of the preseason. For 2 weeks is very difficult, morning and afternoon, but you need to go through it if you want to be performing. So we used to spend a lot of time together with the squad, the team members, the physios, the players, and this is a build-up of getting into the new season in a perfect shape and very positively. So, yeah.
Do you think when you know, professional players, obviously you've got friends that are playing for other clubs, are you on the phone to them being like, oh man, we're running so much, like literally, like what's your pre-season been like?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We're all in the same position. Now football has changed. It's a lot about football conditioning with the ball. Back in the days, we used to run so much. But, you know, after a while, you feel good. You don't have fatigue. You don't feel fatigue. And you're able to repeat efforts on the pitch because you have to go up and down constantly. And if you're not ready, it's a problem.
In pre-season, we do end up seeing a lot more young players getting some game time. What do you think it takes to be a young player? You know, there were young players that during your time at Arsenal that you saw come through the ranks and really kind of, you know, progress on and become, you know, legends at the club. What do you think it takes for a young player to become a pro and a legend at Arsenal?
Confidence. Players need to be wise, you know, and patient. Most of the time, the young players, they want to get to play. They want some time to play. They don't want to be on the bench. But there is a time for everything, and you need, I believe, to see how it is when you down the pitch, when you're on the bench, because when you're on the stand, it looks slow, but when you actually go down on the pitch, you see that every single angle is different. And you see the pace of the game is very fast. And I only noticed when I got injured, when I broke my leg. I went up with my family and I was like, what is it doing? You know, why is he so slow? But it's a perception we have as a fan when you understand when you're on the pitch is a lot faster. And I think it's really important for young players to be able to analyze this, maybe to learn from the one playing. The way I started in Auxerre was similar to this. I spent 1 year on the bench and I didn't even play 1 minute. But I want to say it's probably the best and the most important year of my life because the one playing was the best right back of the league. So I got to learn so much looking at him, trying to see how he was getting close to players, going forward, defending, his positioning, being in line with other players. And players need to surely learn from watching games and be patient.
Yeah, 100%. And look, the players that are out there now, you mentioned Saka a minute ago, and you said, you know, at the end of last season, there was a lot of fatigue, I think, and a lot of legs. Do you think, is there such a thing of too much football in players? You know, we're seeing people getting played constantly, whether or not that's going out playing, you know, a Nations League game or internationals or you know, League Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, anything. Is that a thing? Do you think players are thinking like that too?
I think it's just too much. The body can't take too much. Of course, we are built to repeat efforts, but playing every 3 days is very demanding, mentally and overall physically. You know, we only have 48 hours to recover and repeat 90 minutes of games. I think the pressure, little injuries, little tension is too much for the players. And you can't blame players for maybe having 6-7 games at the high level and just missing a game, you know. I think people need to understand how demanding it is to be always at the top physically. So maybe, and I'm sure you understand that football is very demanding and it's still the best job in the world. I'm not complaining, but with all these games, it's very, very difficult. And when you have the time to rest, when the league is off, it's when we go national team. So we finish the game on Saturday, we have to be in Paris when I was playing for the national team on Sunday. And suddenly you attack the next day with the French national team for 10 days. And when you finish, you go back here, Thursday morning, and 48 hours you have to play again. So it's very demanding.
Yeah, and you know, that is, again, why we see so many players, well, I like to think, Jordan Henderson, moving to Saudi Arabia, but you know, less kind of stress, I guess, more money, maybe less competition. I mean, what do you make of this whole Saudi Arabia thing? You know, like, given you're at the end of your playing career now, would that have been a project that you would have looked at? Would that have been something that you look at now and go, you know, why are they moving there? Is it exciting?
Let's be honest, it's just moving for the money.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
But at that stage, I think it's not about them anymore. It's about how many lives they can change. Thousands of lives by just a move. So if I'm honest, I would have probably done the same because I could have changed 1,000 lives behind me. So building schools, bringing healthcare in Africa or other countries, Asia, in South America. I could have done so much with it, and I would have probably thought about this.
Yeah. And do you think that it is a league that is going to gain some traction? Do you think that we could see a point where the Saudi Arabian League is on TV and we're watching it every week?
Well, attracting all these players will surely attract more sponsors. The TV right might be higher. So it's a business. Football is a business. It's not only sports. It's a total business. And you could see clubs getting more sponsorship deal.
Yeah.
Al Nassr, that was with an unknown brand, is with Nike now because of Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And you see social media jump. So everything become bigger. And surely we're going to have the Saudi League on TV. I won't be surprised.
And you know, sometimes we laugh about it and we say about, you know, the Saudi League, oh, it's not got the class that we have here, and you know, in terms of certain rights and laws and around LGBTQ, etc. But one thing I know that the AST have been able to do is try to eliminate, especially within, you know, Arsenal fans and within our world, is eliminate, you know, homophobia, eliminate racism and things like that. Shockingly, still within a crowd like this, you know, as a player, was that something that you ever kind of came under scrutiny for?
It's all about education. We need to respect each other, no matter the gender, no matter the religion, the skin color. It's all about respect and how you get raised and educated. And to me,
Were you ever shocked that thing was still a part of football? Do you remember that first time that you were ever maybe a victim of racism, as you say, or any form of abuse from the stands?
it happened so many times, but it has never been a problem for me. To me, everything happened on the pitch. I block myself, I put myself in my own bubble when I played. Of course, you hear, especially when you play against Tottenham.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
You hear a lot, but I used this at my own benefits. For me, to play in such a negative environment helped me performing, because I had one idea, is to win and make them feel stupid. So it was never an issue for me to receive or to get swearing. Or I never had any problem with this. I respect myself. I got respect from my parents, from my friends that love me, so that was enough.
Perfect. And you know, you had some incredible memories as an Arsenal player. There were many great games that you played in. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to try and get you to narrow it down to top 3 Arsenal memories.
Well, the signing has to be part of it. When I discover the Premier League, Emirates Stadium, the fans for the first time. The FA Cup, of course.
Yep.
But it was difficult for me to be on the pitch that day, because I knew it was my last day. So it was a mix of emotions, especially after 10 minutes to kneel down.
Yeah.
It was in my head, Hiroshima, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to lose a game. To me, I was not going to lose a game. I was not going to lose my last game for the club. And thanks God, we didn't lose. We won. And
it was a great day.
And if I have to pick a third one, was Inter Milan game, I will say.
Say that again.
AC Milan game.
AC Milan, yes.
I'm not going to talk about Tottenham games, that's easy.
Yeah, of course. yeah.
But we were all young, you know, we were facing the mountain.
Yeah.
But we show audacity and character, so for me it was a good highlight. And also it was probably 1 week after losing my brother, so it was very emotional for me, and it was a good push, you know.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of us as fans we forget. You know, that you do actually have personal lives, and you have stuff going on in your family. You know, doing something like that, as you say, you lose your brother the week before, and going out there and stepping onto the pitch. Are you using that as an outlet for your emotion?
First, it's a bit of shock, especially when you don't expect. But I don't know if you remember, we played against Man United.
Yep.
We lost 8-2. This is why I didn't.
Yep, I remember that.
Talk about it. It didn't come out on the press. But shortly after, we played a home game against the first leg of the game of Champions League against AC Milan.
Yeah.
And I remember Arsene Wenger calling me and bringing me support. I remember having so much support from players, and to me, to get back here and not go Africa was a must. I always try to put the club forward, and I was like, you know what, you have an issue, but this is your task. This is what they got you, and in difficult moments, you still need to be there and fight for the team. So I decided to come and play the game. But to me, it was natural, and I had to do it, so I did it, and I will do it again. And you know, it's actually bringing you strength. Anything can happen, you build up for it. So it was a bad moment, but when I saw the support from everyone, it was also a good memory. So,
Oh man, yeah,
You know?
really powerful. Yeah, 100%. Now, you played you played with some great players at Arsenal. Did you have a favourite?
Cazorla.
Cazorla. Yeah. Well, I mean, Cazorla aside, you also played with Arteta, right? So you played with Mikel. I mean, when you were there, was he always? He's not here, is he? Was he always the teacher's pet? Like, was he that?
Always right.
Did you know he was gonna be the coach that he is?
You feel if someone is made for it, you feel it. I remember getting into his house because I was close to his family and my kids also, watching the Clásico, Real Madrid-Barca, and the first thing he will do is jump on me and tell me, oh, Buck, you see, they're playing in 5-3-2 or 4-4-2, and I was like, I'm just coming to see the game, give me some tips. You know? And you have this type of players that are obsessed with the game.
Yeah.
They talk about tactics, about who's going to start. He was telling me, oh, who do you think will play on the right? So I don't know. You know, that's in him. And even with a young player, always trying to push him, trying to force him to go and have massage, to recover, to sleep early. And it's in him, and I think you guys can see it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, when you were playing with him on the pitch, was he as vocal as he is? I mean, maybe as we saw on Sunday.
No, first of all, I used to hate him.
Why?
When he was in Everton, he's a type of player that will fight and do everything for his club, for his team. And he was one of them, like always complaining about the ref, always trying to put pressure on the ref. And he always put the team forward, always trying to give his best for the team as a player and as a coach. And he's doing it now with a referee. If one of his players is injured, it's like if he got injured, like if it's one of the kids.
Yeah.
And you need someone passionate, and you need someone that identified to the club. And I think he was a perfect fit as a coach for Arsenal.
I love it. And looking forward to this season, I mean, I've got to ask you for a prediction.
Yes. I said 2 years ago that Arsenal will be champion last season. It was very close for different reasons. I think if they had won or not lost the direct confrontation against City, they would have been champion. From the minute they lost at home 3-1, you know how it is. The press is on you.
Yeah.
And you see the negative press and the pressure is on you. So I believe if they have managed to win the game or draw the game, they would have been champion. And you have moments in a season where you have to be strong, and they will surely try to correct this and get stronger, but they have a chance to be champion. They have a fantastic squad. They have a good combination with a board. This is a board that understands football from A to Z. They have a sport director that understands football, that have played the game, so he perfectly understands who is a targeted player. And I think it's really important in modern football to have someone that played the game and a coach that played the game, because at least they understand players' decision, mindset. They will understand everything. And I think the way the board has picked people around the club is spot on. And this is why it's back at the best.
You heard it from Bacary Sagna, we're going to win the league. Bacary, thank you so much. You're going to help me out with a raffle later on, but until then, I'll let you head back, but thank you so much, man. I'll see you in a second. I'll take that. All right. Thanks so much to Bacary Sagna. Right now, I want to welcome to the stage. I actually want to welcome to the stage. I think this is a new addition. Now, you can actually tell me, sir, the award that it was that you won was the Sports Writer of the Year? We'll go with sports. Football Writer of the Year, Henry Winter, everybody. Thanks, man.
Pleasure.
I mean, I had to put you on a pedestal. Why not? Why not? Henry, this is a surprise. To be honest, I didn't know you were coming.
No, I didn't know I was coming up.
But I mean, Henry, what is it that attracts you to coming to events like this, put on by the AST?
Well, I mean, everyone knows Ackle, the work that he does, and when you get a message from Ackle, you don't turn it down, because and also. Well, first, thanks for inviting me up on stage, but also thank you for keeping me in a job, because 2 years ago, with the Everton game outside, when you protested, and there were protests across the country against the European Super League, if you hadn't have done that, the world would have been a different place. English football possibly wouldn't have survived. Do you know, it seems like yesterday, because I think it was during COVID, and I was fortunate to be inside the ground covering the game. There's terrible games behind closed doors, and I went up onto the roof and looked down, and it made me very proud. Obviously, I was angry what was going on with the owners and the Americans and, well, you know, assorted owners, the greedy six, whatever you want to call them. But the fact that the fans were responding across the country, it happened with the Leeds and Liverpool fans on the Monday night, Chelsea fans. All the fans, you rescued English football. You brought in a regulator on the back of that. The pyramid. I was at Luton yesterday. I spent a day at Luton. Luton would probably have gone out of existence if you hadn't have made that stand. And for me, the pyramid matters. It matters because I cover England, and what was it, 23 of the 26 who went to Qatar. It was an experience. They had part of their development in the EFL. Two of them, Nick Pope and others, in non-league. And the pyramid matters, just as the elite matters. So thank you for what you did 2 years ago.
So true. And I mean, look, as a football writer, you go to so many grounds, you see so many teams, you see so many players. How do you begin to, it's really difficult sometimes when I tell my friends about the difference in the Emirates now. There's this air that as soon as you walk in, there's this vibe of, I don't know, that we're going to win, that we've got the fan base. How do you begin to put that down into writing and let the rest of the UK know and the rest of the world?
I think this seems a club united at the moment. I think there was obviously tensions in the latter stages of Arsenal's career, issues with the ownership, which obviously manifested itself 2 years ago. But I mean, I was at the Community Shield, as you were, at the weekend. I understand there were issues with Manchester City fans, and they were raising money for food banks, and they were protesting about the timing, and I have huge sympathy, and I did help them with some of the campaigning on that. But the noise from the Arsenal end, and it wasn't simply that end, it was all around. I thought Arsenal are a powerhouse again. The sport, Vinai was talking about it very eloquently earlier. This is a club united. This is a club going places. This is a club with a fantastic manager, Mikel Arteta, who I've always believed in, because I spoke to people at City, and the players there that he worked with, you knew he was going to do something special here. There's something about him. As a journalist, you wouldn't want to cross him, but also you just talk to the players. He makes them better players. He's united the club, and I think you are definitely going places. You are also up against Manchester City, fabulous team, and you're also up against Manchester City's lawyers.
100%. And obviously, you've covered England for a long time, and I always tell people that we do have England's best player in Bacary Sagna. I hear people talk about Kane, but I firmly believe that the first player that an opposing team will look at when they look at England is Saka. I mean, just how special is he to you?
Just little things about Bacary Sagna. When he turns up with England, he does an interview. He's got a water bottle on the table. He takes it away. He puts his seat under the table. He shakes your hand. There's eye contact. He will be the perfect son. My son's here, so he's got some competition. But Bacary Sagna. So I've got the perfect son, but Bacary Sagna it'd be the sort of perfect second son. Honestly, he's just a lovely kid. And he's a fabulous footballer. And Brentford hosted a do last night, and I was talking to the sort of staff members there, management, and I was saying, what a wonderful moment that was when the Brentford fans supported Bacary Sagna. Probably many of you were on there. I mean, it was a terrible game for Arsenal. But the fact that fans who are not supporters of Arsenal supported Bacary Sagna, that was because they were taking a stand against racism. But also I think they saw the substance of Bacary Sagna, who had to walk from the halfway line to take that penalty in a crunch moment at age, 20, 21, knowing that he would get the racist abuse if he missed. So that pressure, there's enough pressure on a white English player, as we've seen down the years going, but the bravery, the moral bravery of a player like Bacary Sagna, I think the Brentford fans were saluting that as you do every week, because he's a special person and a special player.
Looking ahead to this season, last season was a special season, but coming into it this year, as a football writer, is there an air of, okay, we could have a 4-horse race back? Man United are looking strong in pre-season. Chelsea are buying players. How do you find it?
Well, the first thing is that my deadlines have been absolutely destroyed by all this added time. So if there's no match report in your first edition, blame Howard Webb. No, I just think it's incredibly exciting. I've been doing this 37, 38 years now, and the football that we're seeing, everyone's having a go. You look at Luton. I was speaking to their captain, Tom Lockie, and their coach, Rob Edwards, yesterday. They're going to have a go. They've spent probably, 15, 16 million, but they will come here and they'll have a go. And by the way, when you go to Luton, go early, because that is quite a ground to get into, and you squeeze into the away end, and you go past that lovely lady on the left who's always hanging out her washing, and you have to have a word with her. and that is brilliant, and that's what the game should be about, and that's one of the things that you fought for 2 years ago, so that you could have a Luton. So I think it's going to look, City is so good. Guardiola, the player they've got coming into defence. But yesterday I had to pick my man of the match. It could easily have been Timber. I thought Timber was outstanding. That confidence to get forward, he playing out of position, as Bacary was mentioning earlier. Declan Rice, everyone was raving about Declan Rice. I know Declan, I've been covering him for years. That, for Declan, was about a 6 out of 10 performance. He will get better and better, and he's got the personality, he's got the character, he's got the ability. Kai Havertz, I still think you need a striker. Yeah. And the Kai Havertz thing is interesting, but I'm a big Emil Smith-Rowe fan, and I would love to see it. I love seeing Arsenal players coming through, just like, obviously, from an England perspective. But Havertz has got a point to prove, and always buy players with a point to prove.
Love it. Henry, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
For being here. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, we're nearly at a point where we can pick you for the raffle, but we wanted to give you something really fun right now. So please, welcome to the stage, top comedian. You can catch out his podcast as well, the Jacob Hawley podcast. It's Jacob Hawley, everyone.
I've just checked, ladies and gentlemen, it is a real trophy, so you can tell everyone that on social media from now on. How are we doing? Arsenal Supporters Trust, are we good? I'll start by asking you to give the magnificent Mr. Roman Kemp a round of applause, please. It's good to be here this evening. I'm aware that it's getting late now. I'm aware that some of you will have trains to catch, but unfortunately I have to deliver you the news that I had a meeting with the PG MOL earlier this week. And if there are any interruptions for applause, laughter, or indeed heckles, I will have to add on time at the end of this set. Akil asked me for 15 minutes. You can bet your life it's going to be about half an hour. If it had been September, we'd have given up on that by now, but unfortunately you're going to have to sit through it for now. So ladies and gentlemen, please do strap in. I will say, I mentioned heckles there. Before I start, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you about a special heckle that I received recently. I was doing a bad gig recently in a bad place. I was performing in a place called Romford. We got any locals in the room? Anyone who's from Romford? Yeah, just you over there, madam. Just happy not to be there right now, I assume. I was having a bad gig in Romford, ladies and gentlemen. You know you're having a bad gig when most of the room are shouting wanker at you. Thank you, mate. You know it's going really badly when they start doing it in unison, okay? I was struggling that night. I was trying out some new jokes. I'd written the jokes on my hand in case I forgot them. A guy who was sat where you are, mate, this man in Romford spotted the jokes on my hand. He shouted at me. He went, "What's that written on your hand?" Now, because I was struggling, I was just honest. I went, "Oh, it's my set." Quick as that, he went, "It would have been a short set if you'd written it on your cock, wouldn't it?" Which, let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, is a pretty fucking good joke, right? When you're stood there as a professional struggling and an amateur does something as good as that, doesn't make your cock feel quite small. So 1-0 teams. It's good to be here, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute honour to be performing on the same stage as such well-known faces, just to be in the same room as such well-known faces. Nigel Winterburn, Bacary Sagna. Most importantly, there's some very well-known podcasters in this room. I've spotted people from both the Arseblog podcast and Arsevision podcast. Do we have listeners to both those podcasts in this room? I think they deserve nothing more than a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. People that work on those podcasts, they are the reason that every weekend, I'm an Arsenal fan myself, I'm a season ticket holder, and those guys are the reason that every weekend I leave my partner and my children to spend a few hours at the Emirates Stadium before coming home and listening to an instant reaction for 2 hours, and then the next day I'll tune into the Arseblog podcast to listen to another 2.5 hours of two men talking about that game of football, then the Arsevision of 4 men talking about that game of football, before 3 days later I'll listen to Clive Palmer, do a rewatch of exactly the same game of football. And the only thing I'll say is this, they're making it very difficult for me to convince my girlfriend that we're too busy to have more children, right? I'm a parent myself, ladies and gentlemen. We got any other parents in the room? It's telling the kind of cheer you get in response to that. Just watch this by comparison. Give me a cheer, people who don't have children. I rest my fucking case. That's what hope used to sound like. I've got 2 children myself, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when I stepped on the stage, the first thing you might remember me saying, I said, it's good to be here. Most comedians, when they step on a stage, they say it's good to be here. I genuinely mean it, because I've got 2 children at home under the age of 2.5. Yeah, I'll be very honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's just good to be anywhere that's not there right now. Good to be here, good to go outside, good to go to Tesco for 7 hours sometimes. You could send me on a 6-month tour of Afghanistan tomorrow. I would step off the helicopter saying, it's good to be here, whilst looking the Taliban in the eye, right? It's my life right now. I 2 kids, I should say. So sometimes when I tell people that I've got 2 children, they give me a nice little look. They sort of go like this. They go, oh, like that. And I like to take that as a compliment. I like to take that as people sometimes looking at me and thinking I look a bit too young to have 2 children. I said this to a friend of mine recently. I said, is that it, mate? I look too young to have 2 kids. He goes, it's not really that, Jacob. It's more of a vibe thing. I said, I beg your pardon, mate. What do you mean by that? He goes, I'll be honest with you, Jacob. You don't have much of a parenting and responsibility vibe. I said, really? What's my vibe then, mate? He goes, I'll be honest with you, Jacob. Slightly more ketamine and continental lager is your vibe. Now, I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. I was nervous about doing that joke. I thought, I'm in a sporting institution. I'm not sure how well Class A drug jokes will go down. Also, I'll be very honest with you, I watched you all as an audience walking into this room, and I didn't really think you were going to go for those kind of drug jokes, I'll be honest. Don't mean to sound harsh, but as I was watching you all walk in, I thought, this isn't really a ketamine joke crowd, is it? Let's be honest, looking at you, slightly more ibuprofen people tonight, aren't we? It's good, as I say, I'm a parent myself. I live in Islington, I'm an Islington parent. We got any other parents who live in Islington here? 1. Now, I was going to get onto this in a later part of the set, but I'm going to address it now. There is a good sort of spirit around the club, would you not agree, ladies and gentlemen? Things feel good around Arsenal at the moment, and I would say much of that began roughly 18 months ago when Lewis Dunford released the song North London Forever. Would we agree, ladies and gentlemen? The only issue that I have with the song North London Forever, and I'm sure many of us in this room would agree, is as Arsenal fans, we can't really afford to live in North London forever. North London forever, North London until I need to start saving for a fucking deposit, actually, Lewis. If you want a more accurate song that would describe how actual Arsenal fans feel, you should go for Outer Suburbs of Hertfordshire Forever. Anywhere on the Finsbury Park train line that you can afford a 3-bed for under 400 grand forever. That's our life at the moment. I'm an Islington parent myself, and I didn't grow up in Islington. I actually grew up in Stevenage. Patronising, I'll be honest with you. I grew up in Stevenage. As you'll know, it's a very sort of like working class factory town, isn't it? Now, I live in Islington. I've got myself an arts degree, a vegan girlfriend, and an almost convincing concern for climate change. It's not quite Billy Elliot, but it is something, right? Now, and I've noticed, as I say, I'm a parent in Islington, and I feel very sort of out of place amongst the other Islington parents. It's a famously very middle-class area. Me and my girlfriend have noticed we're very different to the other Islington parents. When I drop off my daughter at nursery in the morning, I've noticed that I'm the only dad who has tattoos. At least I think I'm the only dad who's got tattoos. I'm the only dad who's got his shirt off most of the time. Notice this, and as I say, it's a very sort of middle-class area, a very middle-class form of parenting. They do a thing called modern parenting, all the other parents at our nursery, which is basically just not parenting. The kind of parents who live around here, they're the kind of parents where their kid could be doing the worst behaviour possible, behaving in a horrible way, and rather than doing anything about it, the parent just looks at you and tells you the child's star sign. I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I was there the other day, some horrible little kid fucking behaving dreadfully. The parent just looks at me and goes, Gideon's such an Aries. It's like, Gideon just bit a dog. You need to do something about it, mate. I want to talk a bit more about Arsenal. It is a good time. It's a good time to be a supporter of this club. It feels like things are being done to improve the atmosphere around it. It was toxic so many years ago. Now it feels good. I think one of the things that have improved the atmosphere around the club, specifically amongst the sort of coaching and player staff, you may have read this, there is now a training ground dog. Have you heard about this? Win, the dog. The dog is called Win. We have a training ground dog called Win. Only Arsenal Football Club could be in a title race with a Manchester City team that is literally financially doped, that has the greatest manager of his generation, with a mutant striker that scores 50 goals a fucking season. And Arsenal Football Club's response to that is, shall we buy a Labrador? It's positive psychology. We all understand it, don't we? It's positive psychology. You call the dog Win. The idea is that if you keep saying the word win, you will win more often. It's positive psychology. You say the thing, you'll do the thing more often. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, me and my girlfriend have been very happy to welcome a dog into our family recently. We got a puppy last week. And the puppy is called Blowjob. I never thought I'd get to perform in the Emirates Stadium, and I'm making the fucking most of it. It is a good time, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very good time to be. We've mentioned the signings this summer. What a fucking exciting time it is. Kai Havertz joining the club. Jurrien Timbers looked absolutely fantastic. We have the most expensive midfielder in British history in Declan Rice at our football club, ladies and gentlemen. What an amazing time. And I will say this, by the way. I've seen doubters of Declan Rice on social media, and I think it's ridiculous. He's a wonderful footballer. He's going to be fucking incredible for our midfield. I got into an argument on social media with a Tottenham fan recently, which I'm sure is an experience all of us have endured at some point in our lives. I got into an argument with a Tottenham fan on social media recently. This Tottenham fan said to me, "You've wasted £100 million on Declan Rice." I said, "That's bollocks." He said to me, "The only difference between Declan Rice and Eric Dyer is that Declan Rice has a personality." Now, first of all, that's genuinely insulting to Declan Rice. He's one of the best midfielders in the league. He can dominate football matches. His passing and his vision is on a different level to what Eric Dyer could ever imagine. But I'll say this. Even as a Tottenham fan, how can you look at Eric Dyer and think the problem with him is his personality? The problem with Eric Dyer isn't his personality. The problem with Eric Dyer is seemingly someone has swapped his brain with a brick. Watching Eric Dyer play football is like watching a witch bring a breeze block to life and put it in the middle of a fucking back three. I think it started, ladies and gentlemen, I think the good feeling around this club started when we did the All or Nothing documentary. We got any fans of that documentary in the room? Fantastic insight into our wonderful club. You get to see a bit of the players, get to see a bit of the manager. There was obviously a few bits that were a little bit embarrassing. None of us want to go on about it, but there were a few bits that were a bit embarrassing. For me, the most embarrassing part of that documentary is when our coach, Mikel Arteta, said to the team, "Guys, what's more important, the journey or the destination?" And our club captain, Alex Lacazette, at the time, you might remember, put his hand up and went, "I know the answer to that one, boss. It's the destination." To which Arteta had to correct him and say, "No, Alex, it's actually the journey that's more..." that's more important than the destination and the people that you go on that journey with. Now, I saw a lot of people giving Alex Lacazette stick for that. I will just say this. I watched Alex Lacazette play for Arsenal for quite a long time, and as a man who also cannot keep running after 3 minutes of running, I would agree that destinations are better than journeys. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you've been a wonderful audience. I'm going to go now. It's been a genuine pleasure to perform to you. I don't really have a funny line to end on. I just want to end on saying this. It's been a very difficult time over the last few years for football fans. We were locked away for so long. We didn't get to experience this stadium together. We were faced with the Super League. And I just want to say, I'm not someone who knows an awful lot about how organisations like the Arsenal Supporters Trust work, but I think the people in this room, as Henry mentioned, are so important to keeping this game what it is. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to Ickhill for putting this on, and thank you very much for having me. I've been Jacob Hawley. Thank you very much.
One more time, Jacob Hawley, everyone. Okay. Akhil. What an evening. Not quite over, though.
It's been all right, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Now, we still, of course, have the raffle to do.
Actually, Roman, we've got one more thing to do before that. Are we ready? So there's been a few people that genuinely wanted to be here tonight, but for various reasons they couldn't. So they sent us a video message. So here we go.
Hey, Lee Dixon here. I just wanted to wish everybody at the Arsenal Supporters Trust a happy 20th birthday. Let's hope we have something really special to celebrate at the end of this season. Up the Gunners.
Hi guys, Ray Parler here. A little message for the Arsenal Supporters Trust. This is from the Arsenal Supporters Trust and myself, Ray Parler, of course. Just want to say congratulations on 20th anniversary coming up. So I've been to a gig 2 years ago with you guys, had a great time. You're so important to the club. I must admit, you know, when I first started playing for Arsenal, didn't realise how important the supporters were. But players come and go, managers come and go, balls come and go, owners come and go, but supporters always stay through thick and thin. So I just want to say, I know it's going to be on the big screen now, you'll be listening. So I just want to say thanks you very much for all the support over the years, especially in my time when I was coming through. I'm sure lots of you guys have seen me play badly and quite well. So you're rough with the smooth, as they say. But just want to say, come on, 20 years, unbelievable achievement for you guys. I know you're going to get bigger and bigger. As I said before, you're such an important part of the club. So come on. This year, I'm very, very excited, very optimistic as usual that we can go one better than last season. Some great signings, so hopefully we can go one better. So guys, what can I say? There's only one thing for it. I'm in Greece at the moment as I do this video. I'm going to have a little cheers to all you guys out there for having great support over the years for Arsenal Football Club, through thick and thin, but hopefully now we've got a team that can really compete and hopefully do well. So come on you Gunners, and let's hope we'll be holding that trophy up, next May, and with the Champions League as well. Cheers guys, all the best.
Hi everyone, Martin here. Just wanted to send you a message and say thank you so much for everything you do for us. You guys are unbelievable. Sunday we had a good day, you know, winning the trophy, and I can't wait to see you all at the Emirates on Saturday. We go again and we fight for more.